The story begins inside a mysterious 400-year-old building, once a lively pub, now isolated and abandoned. Owen Lark, the current owner, lives here alone. One night, a young man named Neil visits Owen, desperate to speak with someone. Neil begs Owen to let him meet her, referring mysteriously to his deceased wife. Despite Neil offering money, Owen firmly refuses, ordering Neil to leave immediately. After Neil departs, Owen records an urgent video message for whoever will inherit the property after his death. In this message, Owen warns about a dangerous secret hidden in the basement. He reveals that the next owner must become a guardian of an ancient entity trapped there, which connects the worlds of the living and the dead. Owen failed in this responsibility, and now it's up to his successor to ensure this being remains imprisoned. Determined to end the curse himself, Owen attempts to burn down the basement. Tragically, his efforts fail, and he perishes in the flames. The narrative then shifts focus to Iris Lark, Owen's estranged daughter, who's struggling personally and financially. Iris's mother passed away from an illness years earlier, intensifying tensions within the family. Iris, unaware of her father's fate, soon receives news of Owen's death. Despite their difficult relationship, Iris is deeply affected. Her friend Katie offers emotional support as Iris travels to Berlin, where Owen's property is located. Upon arrival, Iris must identify Owen's body, which deeply upsets her. Soon after, a lawyer named Jeremy approaches Iris, surprising her with the news that Owen left her a significant inheritance, the old building itself. Intrigued yet hesitant, Iris decides to visit the property. Jeremy hands her important legal documents, including a mysterious videotape labeled Instructions, recorded by Owen himself, and emphasizes that the property is highly valuable. That night, Iris chooses to stay at the inherited building, unsure about her future plans. She invites Katie to join her soon, but during the night, Iris awakens abruptly, startled by an intruder. Neil, the same man who earlier visited Owen. Neil reassures her he means no harm. He reveals his true intention: to speak briefly with his dead wife, who he claims is accessible through the basement of this building. Initially skeptical, Iris ultimately agrees, motivated partly by her financial desperation. The following day, Iris meets with Jeremy to finalize the property paperwork, officially becoming its new owner. Jeremy also hands Iris another set of instructions regarding the building. Meanwhile, Katie arrives to stay with Iris, curious and supportive. After officially becoming the owner, Iris spends the evening exploring the old building with Katie. The basement door immediately captures their attention, bearing strange, ancient markings. Intrigued but cautious, Iris shares details with Katie about Neil's odd request, his desire to visit the basement to speak with his deceased wife, offering money in return. Katie initially finds the idea absurd, worrying Iris has trusted a stranger too quickly, but their conversation is interrupted when the doorbell rings. Neil has returned. Feeling both nervous and curious, Iris and Katie accompany Neil down into the dimly lit basement. They notice a chair positioned oddly at the center of the room, facing a cracked wall. Neil begins to call out into the darkness, hoping for a response. At first, the two women watch skeptically, amused by what seems like a bizarre ritual. Suddenly, from the crack in the wall emerges a terrifying figure, its body draped in ragged clothing, face concealed beneath a filthy sack. Panic surges through the room as Iris and Katie freeze in horror. Neil, however, appears prepared, revealing this entity, known as Baghead, is a shape-shifting demon capable of briefly embodying the dead. Neil quickly explains how the ritual works. A personal item belonging to the deceased must be fed to Baghead, after which it transforms, allowing brief communication with the departed soul for exactly 2 minutes. Neil presents an old ring to the creature, which promptly swallows it. Surprisingly, Baghead responds to Iris's commands, revealing that she, as the new owner, is now its guardian, holding authority over the entity. After being ordered by Iris, Baghead obediently sits in the chair, restrained by Neil, who proceeds to remove its hood. To Neil's shock, instead of his late wife, the entity takes the form of his mother, who died years ago by suicide. Neil, deeply shaken, hesitates briefly, but is forced into an emotional confrontation. As the 2-minute mark passes unnoticed by Iris and Katie, Baghead grows dangerously powerful. Neil's mother begins blaming him for her death, revealing the entity's sinister side. Chaos erupts as Baghead vanishes suddenly, now free from restraints. Terrified, Iris and Katie realize their mistake. The creature swiftly moves across the ceiling, attacking Neil. Amidst the panic, water gushes from the cracked wall, adding to the chaos. Iris, desperate, manages to cover Baghead's face again, forcing it to retreat temporarily. Once safe, Iris and Katie angrily confront Neil, learning he intentionally concealed the strict 2-minute rule. Despite the horrifying encounter, Neil promises more money, determined to return another day. Still shaken, Iris understands why her father warned her against Baghead's dangerous powers. After their terrifying experience in the basement, Iris and Katie review the instructional videotape left by Owen. Iris learns crucial details. Baghead was once human, transformed into a demonic entity by people who abused its powers centuries ago. The tape emphasizes strict warnings: never speak beyond 2 minutes to the dead and never free Baghead, as each misuse of its abilities strengthens the demon. Iris realizes she cannot simply abandon the property. Doing so could bring devastating consequences. Her fate is now intertwined with Baghead's curse. Katie, disturbed by these revelations, insists they immediately leave. Iris, desperate and financially unstable, argues she must stay, planning to use Neil's promised payments to secure her future. Reluctantly, Katie agrees to remain temporarily, supporting Iris despite her doubts. To enhance their safety, Iris places cautionary barriers at the basement door. Driven by curiosity and unresolved grief, Neil returns. Again, they summon Baghead in the basement. Neil provides the demon with a locket belonging to his late wife, Sarah. This time, Baghead correctly assumes Sarah's form. Neil, emotional yet suspicious, asks Sarah about her death, an accident during a heavy storm. He subtly probes about her fidelity, suspecting she had an affair. However, Neil again exceeds the 2-minute limit, causing Baghead to regain strength, violently breaking free from restraint. In the ensuing chaos, Baghead terrorizes Iris, revealing its true, horrifying appearance. However, as guardian, Iris remains physically unharmed, protected by ancient rules. Before retreating into the shadows, Baghead chillingly reminds Iris they are both prisoners bound to this cursed legacy. After Neil leaves, Iris experiences haunting visions of her father's failed attempts to burn down the basement and end the curse. Owen's spirit appears distressed, warning her that fleeing is impossible. Her destiny is sealed with Baghead. Disturbed and desperate, Iris begins losing control, suffering vivid nightmares where Baghead manipulates her mind, attempting to possess her fully. Determined to uncover the truth and stop the demon, Katie secretly researches the property's dark history. She discovers previous owners attempted unsuccessfully to break the curse, and suspects Jeremy, the mysterious lawyer, may have hidden knowledge. Tensions rise between the friends. In a heated argument, Iris lashes out at Katie, causing Katie to leave in anger. However, Katie, loyal and concerned, refuses to abandon Iris. Instead, she embarks on a risky quest, hoping to find answers about Baghead and end the centuries-old nightmare before it's too late. After their intense argument, Katie, despite her anger, remains deeply concerned for Iris. Determined to uncover a solution, Katie tracks down the previous owner of the property, hoping to find valuable insights. Sadly, Upon arrival, Katie discovers the man has long since died. However, inside his abandoned home, she uncovers detailed research notes revealing Baghead's dark origin. Centuries ago, a powerful woman possessed the rare ability to temporarily summon the spirits of the deceased. When villagers cruelly exploited and eventually killed her, she returned as a vengeful, shape-shifting entity, Baghead. Ever since, this demonic presence had cursed the property, confined but always seeking freedom. Katie learns the grim truth. A continuous sacrifice or guardian is necessary to keep the demon restrained. Horrified yet determined, Katie rushes back to inform Iris. Meanwhile, Iris, increasingly isolated and desperate, decides she must speak with her father, Owen, one final time, hoping he might reveal a way to escape their cursed fate. Summoning Baghead alone in the basement, Iris offers one of Owen's belongings, temporarily bringing his spirit forth. Owen, distressed by his daughter's presence, painfully explains there's no escape. The curse binds the guardian permanently, relentlessly controlling their life. Iris's mother's illness and death were direct consequences of Owen's attempts to flee. Overwhelmed by guilt, Owen's ghost vanishes violently as Baghead regains control, leaving Iris shattered emotionally. Iris attempts to destroy Owen's written will, hoping to sever her ties to the inheritance. Yet, mysteriously, the document remains intact, immune to fire. Frustrated and heartbroken, she spirals deeper into despair. During her emotional breakdown, Iris loses consciousness in the bathroom, completely vulnerable. Upon returning home, Katie cannot immediately find Iris. Concerned, she enters the basement, searching desperately. Suddenly, the previous owner's spirit briefly appears, explaining the tragic cycle clearly. Baghead can only remain bound if a human guardian continuously sacrifices their freedom, ensuring the demon never escapes. Katie realizes too late the dangerous mistake she's made entering alone. Baghead viciously attacks, taking her life and assuming her identity to deceive Iris. When Iris awakens, she hears familiar voices calling from the basement. Driven by worry for Katie, she disregards all warnings and ventures beyond the barrier. Once inside, Iris quickly realizes the terrible truth. Katie is already dead, and Baghead has deceived her. Grief-stricken, Iris barely escapes the demon's grasp, fleeing upstairs in terror. In a twist of fate, Neil returns unexpectedly, momentarily rescuing her from immediate danger. Pretending to comfort Iris, Neil secretly plots his own agenda. He drugs Iris under the guise of helping her rest, knocking her unconscious. Waking later, Iris finds herself back in the basement, witnessing Neil communicating with Baghead, now disguised as Neil's deceased wife, Sarah. Shockingly, Baghead reveals that Neil was indirectly responsible for Sarah's death. During an argument, Neil drugged Sarah, leading to a fatal car crash. Neil desperately seeks ownership of the property and control over Baghead's powers. However, the demon clarifies ownership can only transfer through the current guardian's death. Consumed by greed and desperation, Neil confronts Iris violently. In their struggle, Iris tragically dies, thrown brutally from an upper floor by Neil. Neil, believing he succeeded, offers Iris's body to Baghead. Consuming Iris's essence, Baghead absorbs her role as guardian, finally gaining enough strength to escape its confinement. Realizing too late the magnitude of his error, Neil is brutally killed by the unleashed demon. Freed from centuries of imprisonment, Baghead emerges into the world, the building collapsing in flames as the curse reaches its devastating fulfillment. Ultimately, the story of Iris, Katie, and Neil becomes a chilling cautionary tale about grief, obsession, and the destructive consequences of attempting to control forces beyond human comprehension.